Page 19, answering. Well, this is a contrast from the previous etude because this one is very connected, very legato, very smooth. Well, let's talk about it. 6/8 time. So an eighth note gets a count, but we have to count 6. We'll take it one hand at a time. At the beginning in the right hand. There's no sharps or flats in the key signature. It's in a mode. I'm not an expert on modes, so I'll let your teacher explain that one to you. But right here, we're starting second finger, and we have F sharps. And yes, both of those Fs are sharp because it applies to the rest of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. F sharp again. You got a 1 beat rest to move up. Second line, you move up, you got the chord. There's D and the A. That's tied for 2 measures, so you're going to hold it down for 12 counts. Lovely. The left hand will keep you entertained. It's okay. And then they come down. If you can't do a 1/5, you do a 2/5. It's okay. I find 2/5 more comfortable because my hands are rather large. But if you can, 1/5 is fine. You can do that. And you're holding that down for 12 counts, so it's tied. And then the third line is similar to the first. Except when you get to the third measure, now you got to come up here. And you only get 1 beat to come up here. So you just lift up and move. And when I do this, I aim the finger I need. For instance, in the third line, going from second measure to third measure, I ended here in the second measure. The next note I need is here. That's the finger I aim. So when I'm lifting up and moving, I'm thinking about hitting that note because I don't have a lot of time to move here, so I pretty much have to move and play at the same time. That's kind of hard to do. That's what I do. See, a violin or somewhere like that, when they shift in the fingerboard, my teacher taught me you shift on the last finger you played. So if I did that here, then I would shift on the E, I'd have to come up to this E. Even though I'm going to play that, that's a different instrument. Just in case you play both instruments, what's going on? Well, at the piano, we aim with the finger we're going to use here. Because sometimes the hand moves around and stretches out a bit, and violin it doesn't. It stays pretty much in the same position all the time. So we're here, and you come up here. And then the last line, come down here, and you're holding that down for 12 counts, and you come down again. And you lift up and move. There's no rest or nothing. And well, there's a fermata there, but leave out the fermata right now. Let's just do it even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. You're just cutting that a little bit short so you can get down there. Don't cut it real short. No, just lift up. Like so. Left hand is similar. It's just kind of, first it does the chords, D and E, A, and then the B flat and F. And the second line, it finally gets melody. You're going to lift up with the thumb. You're really in this position. You could be in this position. I see nothing wrong with that. But they're doing it here. That's fine too. And then the third measure over, you come up. Again, we're in this position. And then the next line, you come way down, D and A. And then go down again, C and G. Same fingerings. You're using 5 and 1 on each of these. And the F, the B and the F sharp, you can use second on the F sharp if you want. And that's tied. And then the last line. Then you lift up and come up here. Now if you want to use third finger on the E again, because you've been doing it like this, you can do that too. And then down. And that's tied for the rest of the piece. Put them together. Well, this should be interesting. Here. Let's jump down to the last line. You're here, first measure. And then here. And so, add the slurs and all this stuff. Well, it's all pretty much legato. You have to lift up to move, and that gives you your phrase breaks. So you just play it all legato as best you can. Yeah. It slowly turns into something that's halfway enjoyable. When you're first working it out, it's probably better if no one can hear you, because it sounds like a mess and you're just working out notes and the notes don't seem to make any sense. But once you kind of get an idea and you can start speeding up a little bit, then it starts to make sense. The last line here is here. And then here. And that fermata, you just hang on to that a little bit. See, they put a fermata in the left hand. That's because both hands need a fermata, so you don't want to hold in one hand and not in the other. So really, but the note you're holding is the last eighth note in the right hand. And then you hold that for a little bit, and when you're ready, just go on. And there's an RAT there, so you slow down a little bit. Here. Dynamic-wise, it's soft, and that's going to be for the eighth notes. Keep these chords really soft. We don't want to hear the chords. They're in the background. We want to hear the eighth notes. You got a crescendo up to the first note in the second measure. Go up to here. So come back down. Moderately soft is just a little louder than you were. So you got to feel this going up and back down on each of these. And the second line, same thing, except now the right hand's soft and the left hand is moderately soft. Moderately loud, isn't it? Go up to loud. Back down. You're still moderately loud here, but you have a diminuendo here. So now you're going to go down to soft, but don't get soft until the next line. You're soft. Your poco crescendo means a little louder. Start getting a little louder, not a lot. Poco ritardando means slow down a little bit. And then the a tempo in the last line means resume your speed you were going before you slowed down, but now you're soft. That's for the eighth notes. And then you're still soft. And then a fermata, and then here, slow down. Now, speed-wise, it's quietly, and it's a dotted quarter note is what they're, so you're going to feel this in 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, those are the natural accents anyway, so that's fine. So if you 1, 2, it's just a little faster than 1 beat per second. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Slow down there a little bit, and then all tempo again. Hold on to that, and then when you're ready, go on. If I do this with a metronome, I'm going to hold that eighth note 1 extra eighth note length, just to hold it a little bit, not very long. You would hold it and you feel it right, whatever. Now they've added pedal on this, and we need to understand why they're using pedal. If you're going to use pedal, use it for a reason. Don't use it just out of habit. You pedal everything. We don't want to smear the eighth note, so we're not pedaling everything, because that would... It's a different effect than what the composer wanted. It's clean. But then when you get to the end of the second line, from then on the rest of the piece, they're connecting the measures. All we're doing is connecting the end of one measure to the beginning of the next, so there's no silence between them because we're moving the hands. And when you do that, there's going to be silence. So we take that away. So I'm ending the second line here on these notes. I'll push the pedal down, and then I'll lift it up right after I play the notes in the next line. All I did is connect them. So to play the last two measures of the second line going on, it's this way. And I'm going to do that with each of these measures. All I'm doing is connecting one measure, really it's a, here, I'm connecting those. This is a technique, pedaling technique I use a lot when I want to connect chords and I can't do it with the hands. I do it with the pedal. But I don't want overtones all over the place, so I only pedal enough to connect the chords and that's it. And that's really what they're doing here. So the third line, you're here. Kind of put the pedal down right when or right after you play the last eighth note in that measure. At the end of the line, they put the pedal down, and this is another technique you use for pedal. For longer notes, held out notes, they might pedal those to give them a little color. Because they're longer, you got time to hear what's going on, so they give them a little color. So they'll pedal the longer notes. So at the end of the third line, they're pedaling that, and then lift it up after you play the notes in the next measure. And then again, connect it. And here, go ahead and put the pedal down right after you play that eighth note with the fermata, put it down. So again, because of fermata, it's going to be a longer note. So we want to hear it, and then lift it up right after you play the next note. And then at the end, again, we put the pedal down for the overtones because it's a held out note. And this is a style we can do with it. Sort of what they're doing. You have to experiment with the pedal, but don't use any more than you have to. I think there may be one error in the music. I want to point it out. And that is, we've been using the pedal to sustain or color these held out notes. You look at the last measure of the third line, you see those notes are held out, and we're coloring all of that. So you hear all these overtones while you're doing it. When we get down to the last line in the second measure, they're not coloring that one. That's held out. They're not pedaling it until the very end of it and just to connect it. So I think that may be an error. You may want to extend that pedal line over and pedal that whole measure, not just the end of it, to color that whole dotted half note out. I'll go ahead and play it the way it's written, because that's the way it's written, but in my opinion, if I were your teacher and you're in front of me, I'd take a pencil and fix that pedal line so you're pedaling that whole half note, the whole dotted half note. You know what it is. So I'd like to play this with you very slowly. I'm not going to do dynamics. I will do the pedaling and the articulation. I'll give us 6 counts because there's 6 beats in a measure. Now let's try it. I'll put your foot on the pedal at the beginning. I always have it there. Don't be putting the foot on the pedal and taking it off. Just put it on the pedal and leave it there for the piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, go. Five, 6. Six. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. Then hold it out for a little while longer until you're tired of hearing it or it dies away completely, and lift the pedal in the hands at the same time.